How do you learn to operate a high-speed cinema robot? Well, follow me. This is the Sisu C20. Join us for our first couple of weeks as we learn to operate this thing and take it out in the field. Cue the montage! To begin using this equipment, we had Josh over from America. He was straight from Sisu Cinema themselves. Yay! Hi, Josh.
4 is okay, 5 is working, and then you can see 6 gently panning.
Josh took us for a week of training, basic movements and basic camera builds.
Ben's first program.
Look at me, Mom. I fly robot.
Yes, Ben.
It doesn't want to run it.
Now, I like Josh, but I love this guy. This is Mike from Sisu. He's just got a good style about him, you know? With learning and training underway, it's time for some spec projects. Test this thing out. So we set up 2 projects over a weekend. First is a fashion style shoot with a New York City backdrop. This project was directed by Jazz Bullen-Williams, DOP'd by Jacques Petroni.
Today we're making the robot go brrr.
They set up a faux stage with actors, props, and this New York City background.
We're packing bags, we've got the motorbike, we've got the robot arm.
Shit gets pretty crazy.
My name's Grace Sanders and today I'm putting smoke in the
It's so much more natural on camera, it's not fair.
Yeah, you interrupted it. The goal was to move the robot between keyframes and freeze on moments of action, as if a cascading series of problems were unfolding for these people on the streets of New York.
As you can see, we're in our first posi, which is also our last posi because it, thanks to the magic of motion control, loops seamlessly forever. So she's gonna walk on this makeshift grate that Jazz has ingeniously built, feeding haze through here. So there'll be like a New York subway station with a train going underneath and haze coming up, gets her heel stuck in here and picks up this whole, what's it called? Butterfly effect? Is that what it's called?
A part of the shot was to include a coffee cup frozen in the air with liquid spilling out of it. So we shot the shot as normal, but then we did empty plates without the actors and a VFX plate with a coffee cup frozen in the air. The robot can then export a file which gives VFX nerds the data needed to show where the camera is in physical space. Essentially, you import that FBX into something like Blender and there's no need for camera tracking. And the VFX wizard JDB worked his magic to create an element of coffee frozen in time. Let's go shoot it!
The dog is not your dog, it's Dylan's dog, okay?
I actually don't think I've moved in the last 15 minutes. I just kind of sat here and told people what to do. Watched Ben move the robot for me. Tell you, man, it's a good life.
That is hilarious! Oh my god, that is so good.
This was a great first step for the robot, which, honestly, worked flawlessly. Then we move on to the second spec. I'm first here, but people start arriving soon. We'll boot this robot up and see what we can do. I really hope that they're happy with the Alexa, because that's already on there. Now, it doesn't take too long to swap cameras, but I don't know if I can be bothered. Hopefully they're happy with 75 frames, but there was some talk of going higher. Hey, Paul, what are you doing?
I don't.
How are you gonna make it look cool?
We're gonna make it cool by doing it in super slow-mo.
All right, guess we're changing cameras. What we originally had built on there was the Alexa Mini LF, which can shoot 48 frames at the highest settings. You can squeeze 75 frames out of it, but for what Paul wants to do, he wants to go super high frame rate. For that, we're gonna need something like the FreeFly Ember. This bad boy can do super high frame rates at really decent resolutions. For example, it can do 5K at 600 frames or 4K at 800. Let's get to it! This second project was a demo of macro and high-speed work on a series of tools, directed by Paul Comodina and shot by Razzle Dazzle. The shots on this project use a combo of FreeFly Ember for the high-speed work up to 500 frames, and Arri LF stuff for the full-frame macro shots. Some shots were straightforward enough, including this banger of an end shot. However, look at this shot. So we have a rather unique problem where we have the probe lens on the end of the robot, and the probe is just jittering ever so slightly.
No,
that will be starting
So
from the
interestingly, the probe shot didn't quite work. What was happening was we had the probe moving on a really small drill bit, and every micro movement was seen in the movement. My honest assessment is we got this shot, but it requires a little stabilization in post to get there. There's a couple of things we could do on the rig to minimize these wobbles, but we're just working in such a finite area that we need to spend a lot more time finessing it. And this is honestly where we're approaching the limits of the system. What we're finding is that the smaller you get, the more minuscule you get, the more precise you have to be and the longer it takes. Like if you're doing a wide shot of a vista, one person could do it. But if you're shooting a jigsaw and like getting the blade to go up and down as the wood chips out, like it takes a long time. There's only one thing for it. Back to the books. We gotta study, we gotta learn, we gotta read, we gotta write, we gotta build, we gotta put things on the robot, and we gotta watch as many of these goddamn Sisu Cinema Robot YouTube videos as possible.
So let's go ahead and jump into it. First thing that's important is to make sure that you've already initialized.